All right. So the next segment that we're going to talk about today is Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson, the former MVP quarterback, who is currently in a contract dispute situation with the Ravens, he wants a lot of guaranteed money. They don't want to give him a lot of guaranteed money, is essentially how that boils down. I know it's obviously a lot more complicated than that, but the Ravens, for some reason, refuse to pay this man. And their justification for it is because they don't want to give him a lot of guarantees, right? They obviously want Lamar. They want to keep Lamar, but they're not willing to give him the guarantees that he deserves. And from Lamar's standpoint, as a player, you have to look out for yourself. So he wants those guarantees, and I don't blame him for that at all. But I think that it's very interesting because some reports are saying that they're about $100 million apart. That's a lot. That's very hard to negotiate and find a middle ground when you're $100 million apart. There were 10, maybe 15. You can kind of find a little middle ground. Maybe the player could take a little bit less. The team could give a little bit more. $100 million is a lot. So I'm going to kind of talk about the situation and what I think is going to happen, what could happen, what is the best possible outcome for the Ravens, for Lamar Jackson. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get to that really quick before I kind of start. Big shout out to my boy TTB Ravens. He puts out the best Ravens content on YouTube, on Twitter. Go ahead and follow him. That's my boy. That's my dog. So if you want more Ravens specific content, go follow him. He's your guy. But anyway, let's go get into Lamar Jackson. So, like I said, Lamar wants to play for a new contract. Last year, Lamar tried to get an extension with the Ravens. They couldn't get it done. Played this year, got hurt this year, and my theory is that Lamar Jackson's injury wasn't as significant as his time out would suggest. However, he was being conservative because he wasn't invested in prior. He wasn't given those guaranteed money to go out and play and fight through an injury to potentially make it worse. So he had to look out for his long-term future. He had to look out for his financial future and, remove himself from injuring it further. And I'm not saying he wasn't hurt. I'm saying that I think that he was cautious with his injury recovery because of that fact, right? And for the Ravens, that might have cost them a playoff win. You look at the first playoff game they had against the Bengals, the fumble in the jungle, as many people are calling it. All right, they lost that game by 7. That one play was a 14-point swing. Do you think Lamar fumbles at the 1-yard line for the Bengals to go take it 100 yards to the house? Probably not. So by that logic alone, you have the Ravens beating the Bengals in the playoffs. So as many of you know, Lamar is a free agent and by definition is allowed to sign with any team. However, the Ravens have a kind of, in case of emergency break glass option here, where they can franchise tag Lamar. And the franchise tag for quarterbacks is expected to be about $32-33 million. So definitely no chump change. Definitely nothing like that. However, it's only a 1-year thing, and it's not guaranteed past this year. And there's a lot of that's not what Lamar's wanting. He wants a long-term guaranteed deal, and I feel he's deserved that. But that's not what the franchise tag is. It's a 1-year, $32 million deal. Good, not what he's wanting, right? So the Ravens could franchise tag Lamar. Now the problem with the franchise tag is Lamar, again, that's not what he wants. So if you franchise tag him, best case scenario, right? You franchise tag him now, he plays. Next year, this time, you're in the same spot. You're in the same spot with the guy, and you're going to have to go through all this shit again. Assuming, hopefully, Lamar next year plays well and stays healthy, you're probably going to have to pay him more, right? Because then he says, okay, I've proven to you I can stay healthy. I've played good football. Pay me more money. And you really don't have any leverage with Lamar. You really don't. So the Ravens probably are just going to put themselves in the same spot this year. I believe you can franchise tag a guy 2 years in a row, I think is the cutoff. Don't quote me on that, but I'm not totally sure. So another interesting nugget about this Lamar situation is that Lamar Jackson is his own agent. He's going to negotiate his own contract. Him and his mom are the ones that negotiate his deal, and so not having a quote-unquote real agent I don't necessarily think it hurts Lamar, but I think it makes the situation more complicated and it delays things a little further, right? I feel like if you had a real agent, they could speed things up and they could probably get things done a little bit faster. That's not to say that he's doing the wrong thing, having him and his mom negotiate his contract, but I think that it makes it a little bit more complicated, if you guys know what I'm saying. So here's, I think, how I see this going down, right? The Ravens have proven and they've shown through their actions that they are not willing to give Lamar a long-term guaranteed contract. And from their perspective, they see Lamar's play style, I believe, as very risky, as very what's the word I'm looking for? Aggressive. And they think that it's probably easier for him to get hurt, which that's understandable. A predominantly running quarterback, well, not predominantly running, yeah, predominantly running quarterback could very easily take a hit, tear an ACL, do this, do that, right? That I understand. But at the same time, dude, like, okay, Lamar's won an MVP. He's consistently been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL since his second or third year in the league. Yeah, you got to pay him. Like, there's just no way around it. Like, even the Cardinals, Kyler Murray hasn't done jack shit of what Lamar's done, and they paid Kyler. Now, do I totally agree with the Cardinals paying Kyler? No. But even they understood, like, hey, this guy is who we've decided to be our franchise quarterback. We got to hand him the big bucks. That's just the reality in the NFL. When you have a guy who's your franchise quarterback, you got to pay him the big bucks. You got to hand him a blank check, right? And the Ravens aren't doing that with Lamar. So that's a bit worrisome if you're a Ravens fan. If you're Lamar Jackson, if you're the Ravens organization, right? It's kind of crazy. So how do I see this playing out? I see one of two scenarios happen, and I think that one of these two scenarios is best for both Lamar and for the Ravens organization, right? I see the Ravens organization trying to franchise tag Lamar. They're going to give him the franchise tag, and they're going to say, hey, we're going to franchise you this year. We'll go through this next year. Cool. Let's do that. All right. Lamar, at that point, can decide, all right, do I want to play 1 year for $32 million and prove that I can stay healthy, prove that I can play good quality football? Or do I want to say, fuck that, not play on the franchise tag? Now, he can definitely do that. He can refuse to play on the franchise tag. That would be a bit risky. Deshaun Watson did that a few years ago before his whole trouble, let's just say. He decided not playing the franchise tag because he wanted a longer deal and he wanted to be he wanted to be traded. That's a little different, but yeah. So Lamar could decide not to play in the franchise tag, and then that opens up a whole nother can of worms. Because my belief is, and you guys can correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong. My belief is if a team franchise tags you when you're a free agent, you can't go sign with another team, because they kind of hold, like the Ravens kind of hold his rights. So if they franchise tag him, he kind of has to play on the franchise tag, whatever. So I think the Ravens are going to try to strong arm him to play on the franchise tag, which is obviously not something Lamar wants. Another thing that they could do is, and I see this, you see this a lot in basketball, but I feel like it could happen in football as well. You could almost do like a sign and trade where you trade Lamar Jackson and you give him first you give him the long-term deal, give him the contract, then you trade him to a different team and they pay the money, right? Because clearly the Ravens don't want to pay all that guaranteed money. So you work the deal, do whatever, find the compensation from whatever team, trade him. Now, you might be thinking, what team is going to pay for Lamar? Well, it would need to be a team that A, needs quarterback, duh. You need a team that B, has a good enough draft capital, B. C, you're looking for a team that has money, right? Obviously, the issue with Lamar right now with the Ravens is money. So if your team doesn't have money, you can't get Lamar. So that rules out like the Bucks, for example. But some teams that I think, if he were to get traded to, would be the best options. I'm going to say Washington's a decent option. They need a quarterback. They have okay draft capital. They've got a decent amount of money. Detroit's got good draft capital. Detroit maybe needs a quarterback, but I think they like Jared Goff, and I think they're going to devote their resources elsewhere on that team. Indy, Jim Irsay, I mean, they got the 4th overall pick. Jim Irsay is aggressive, as I've said before, and I think that, he wants a quarterback, obviously. And then the Ravens could draft another one with the 4th overall pick. So that trade compensation-wise could work out. But I think the best option and the clear-cut option that's been circulating around Twitter and the internet recently is Atlanta. Atlanta has picks, they have money, and they don't have a quarterback. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen those photoshops of Lamar in the Falcons jersey, but he looks dope as shit in a Falcons jersey. So if he were to get traded, which I'd give it probably a 30-40% chance. I'd give it like 25 actually. If he were to get traded, I'm guessing it would be to the Atlanta Falcons. But this Lamar Jackson situation is very interesting to me. And I wish Lamar the best of luck. Honestly, I'm Team Lamar here. He deserved that money. Like, go get your money, King. And if the Ravens don't want to pay him, right, then you got to pay your franchise quarterbacks. Sucks, but it is how it is. So would you rather maybe overpay Lamar a little bit, or would you rather have fucking Tyler Huntley start 17 games? I mean, that's just the reality of it. So I'll talk more to TTB and try to get more information for you guys. Maybe do like a little update recently in the near future. Maybe if something happens with Lamar. But until then, that's kind of the Lamar Jackson situation for you guys. What do you guys think about that? Whose team are you on? Let me know down below. I love hearing it all. Let's go to the next segment.